Imagine the mighty Euphrates River, a lifeline that has flowed through the heart of the Middle East for thousands of years. This ancient river has not only nurtured civilizations, but has also witnessed the rise and fall of empires, serving as the backdrop for epic stories and profound historical events. Today, however, the Euphrates is revealing a new kind of story, one written in the mud and artifacts exposed by its receding waters. As drought and climate change cause the river to shrink, hidden treasures and long-buried secrets are coming to light, offering a unique glimpse into the past and challenging us to rethink the history we thought we knew. Join us on a journey back in time as we explore the uncovered mysteries and unearthed tales that are re-emerging along the banks of the drying Euphrates River. The Euphrates River is an ancient waterway that has played a vital role in shaping human history. However, it has been gradually drying up in recent years, plunging millions of people into a period of unprecedented drought. Spanning from Turkey to Syria and then Iraq, this long stretch of river has been the major source of water in the region for over 10,000 years, sustaining human civilizations and allowing them to flourish. However, the drying up of the Euphrates is not entirely unexpected, as it has been predicted in a terrifying prophecy that seems to be coming true. The significance of the Euphrates River in human history cannot be overstated. It has been responsible for creating the Fertile Crescent, a part of ancient Mesopotamia, where the first and oldest recorded agricultural practices originally began. In times of old, the Euphrates provided a constant source of clean water for men to practice farming and other agricultural practices, which later spread to other parts of the world. The Euphrates River was also one of the first rivers to be recorded in the Bible, as it was among the 4 rivers that were said to originate from the Garden of Eden. In biblical records, the Euphrates served as a key dividing barrier between the East and West, shaping key events such as wars and invasions that have in turn shaped the distribution of people and power into much of Asia and North Africa. The river's significance spreads as far back as over 450,000 years ago, with Schulian stone artifacts and the remains of early Homo erectus having been found buried in its banks. Stretching a distance of over 1,730 miles, originating from the Armenian mountains in eastern Turkey, the Euphrates is the longest river in Asia, and together with the river Tigris, makes up the Fertile Crescent. The river flows through steep gorges and canyons in Turkey, then through lowlands in Syria, before cutting clear across Iraq and entering into the Persian Gulf. However, this ancient river is now drying up, with a significant drop in water levels across the length of its path. In most places in the lower part of the river, mostly in Iraq, the river has completely dried up, with the riverbed now completely visible, and what used to be submerged underwater, now barren lands of cracked soil. In most places where the water has dried up, farmlands have become barren, as there is no source of irrigation for the crops, pushing villages into unusually long droughts. The fishing economies of these locations are now practically non-existent, as whatever small pools of water are left are contaminated or undrinkable. The once fertile crescent that gave birth to the world's agriculture is now a desolate land and is now practically unrecognizable from the last decade. The Euphrates River has been an important feature of many fascinating stories and historical events. Among these is the supposed discovery of the tomb of King Gilgamesh, an ancient ruler of the city of Europe. The Epic of Gilgamesh, which recounts the life of this king, is considered a Middle Eastern literary masterpiece and was written 2,000 years before the birth of Christ. According to the book, Gilgamesh was buried under the Euphrates River in a tomb constructed after the river's waters parted following his death. Gilgamesh is king of Uruk, an ancient kingdom on the banks of the Euphrates, in what is the present-day Iraq. There is even some footage claiming to show the discovery of Gilgamesh's tomb, which many find intriguing. However, let me warn you that the authenticity of this footage is debatable. The ancient tomb of Gilgamesh. To know more about this discovery, let us go back in time to 2003. German explorers and archaeologists, led by Jörg Fassbender, found an ancient tomb that they believe belonged to giants that roamed the earth centuries or even millennia ago. The researchers reported that they discovered the bodies of massive giants and sent them to laboratories for testing, including carbon dating. Since the discovery, not much has been said about it, and it has been kept under wraps. As expected, the discovery has been the subject of some controversy. In the story, Gilgamesh was described as a giant who was 17 feet tall. He was reportedly the son of a Sumerian king and a Mesopotamian goddess, and ended up ruling over the land of Uruk, which later became a wreck. It is possible that he was buried in his hometown, and his body was eventually discovered in 2003. Gilgamesh was essentially a demigod, and in his reign, he waged wars against his enemies, and sometimes acted as a bit of a tyrant to his people. Not surprising considering that he had godlike strength and could pretty much do whatever he wanted. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, it is said that the gods finally listened to the cries of Gilgamesh's people, who had to live in fear of their all-powerful king, and they wanted a savior. So Anu, the king of the gods, used clay and his own spit to make Enkidu, a wild man who would challenge Gilgamesh to a contest of strength. When Gilgamesh and Enkidu eventually came to blows, it was pretty epic, and their duel reportedly lasted days. Eventually, Gilgamesh still managed to eke out the win, and despite the win, he was reportedly so impressed by Enkidu that they eventually became friends. Later on, when Enkidu was eventually struck by death, Gilgamesh was so grief-stricken that he basically became a philosopher. The death of his friend caused him to question the meaning of life and the value of all human accomplishments when we're all going to end up dead someday. Enkidu's death also caused Gilgamesh to become a better person. He cast away all his pride and set out on an epic quest to find the meaning of life, and hopefully even defeat death. For many years, everyone believed that the Epic of Gilgamesh was nothing more than a literary concept, and the ancient king probably didn't even exist. However, the discovery of Fassbender changed everything. Interestingly, the team of explorers didn't just see the burial site. According to Fassbender, the team uncovered over 100,000 hectares of land and property, many of which were described in the Epic of Gilgamesh. He also claimed that they found Babylonian houses and properties scattered around the area, all buried underground for thousands of years. It is fascinating to note that all of this was found in the desert, which is quite remarkable considering the significance of the Euphrates River in regard to biblical prophecy. As we get closer to the return of the Messiah, it is astonishing that more and more discoveries are being made that point towards the biblical narrative being fact. Aside from this tomb, there were other important discoveries that were made due to drying up of the Euphrates River. According to scientists, the Euphrates riverbed has revealed 6 distinct historical periods, each with its own unique artifacts and treasures. These periods include the Sumerian, Akkadian, Assyrian, Greek, Byzantine, and Islamic eras. Without diverting the river or creating lakes in the desert, Syria constructed the Euphrates Dam in 1968, which led to the flooding of many ancient sites along the river. However, a few monuments and artifacts were saved from destruction. The region along the Euphrates River is home to hundreds of Syriac Christian monasteries and numerous cemeteries. Interestingly, when the sun shines and the lake water is clear, the submerged cemeteries can be clearly seen. In the western district of Raqqa, a few graves have been found on the right bank of the lake. However, the left bank has not been thoroughly studied due to its rockiness and difficulty in digging. Ancient cities and monuments have been revealed in Iraq as well. For example, the ancient city of Talbas was uncovered in Anna, Iraq, as the river's waters receded. Iraqi archaeologist Mohammed Jassim claimed that the lower water level at the Haditha Dam resulted in the appearance of at least 80 historical monuments. Additionally, the Antiquities Department in Duhok, Iraq's Kurdistan province, recently announced the discovery of a Mitanni Empire city that dates back 3,400 years, which was discovered when floodwaters in the Tigris River basin receded. Another incredible archaeological discovery, made due to the drying up of the Euphrates River, is the ancient city of Zakiko, which was mentioned in Babylonian writings. This city boasts several buildings, including a palace, a huge fence, and cuneiform texts that have been found. What's more, researchers were astonished by how well some of the underwater mud walls that had been sun-dried for over 40 years had held up. They believe this is because of a city-destroying earthquake that buried and protected the city for millennia, with the debris of the higher portions of the walls. As we consider the fascinating discoveries around the Euphrates River, we cannot help but wonder what other artifacts and evidence may be hidden beneath its depths. Undoubtedly, there is much more history and knowledge waiting to be discovered, evidence that will only add to our understanding of ancient history. These discoveries truly shape our understanding of the past, and we cannot wait to see what else lies beneath the surface of the Euphrates River. The Euphrates River is one of the oldest and most significant waterways in the world. It's been a source of sustenance for millions of people for hundreds of years. But in the past couple of months, this once powerful body of water has been slowly drying up. As it does, it's revealed secrets that no one could have seen coming. Something has just emerged under the Euphrates River, and the terrifying discovery changes everything. Join us as we explore this strange discovery and how it defies everything we've ever known about the region. The Euphrates River, the longest river in Southwest Asia, holds a remarkable place in history. When it flowed at its perfect capacity, it was a lifeline for the people and civilizations that thrived along its banks. Originating in the highlands of Armenia near Erzurum city at an elevation of approximately 3,000 meters above sea level, the Euphrates River embarked on its majestic journey. As the Euphrates River made its way downstream, it got a boost from Karasu and Murat rivers. These tributaries joined forces, adding more water to the already mighty flow. And you know what? With every kilometer it traveled, the river didn't just carry water, it carried a whole bunch of history and cultural significance with it. The Euphrates River flowed southeast, carving its way through the landscapes of Syria and Iraq. Along its path, the river created fertile valleys and nourished the land. In ancient times, its valley was a thriving hub of human activity, where great civilizations flourished. The river's abundant waters served as a catalyst for agriculture, enabling the growth of vast crops that sustained communities and allowed civilizations to prosper. On the banks of the Euphrates River were magnificent cities whose remnants can still be seen today. These cities were centers of trade, culture, and innovation. The river made it easy for these cities to flourish, as it provided a constant source of water for irrigation, allowing the cultivation of vast farmlands. From the ancient city of Ur in Mesopotamia to the iconic ruins of Babylon, the Euphrates River was intertwined with the rise and fall of countless civilizations. Unfortunately, the Euphrates River's current state of decline paints a stark contrast to its past glory. You know what they say, April showers bring May flowers. Well, unfortunately, the Euphrates River hasn't been getting enough of those showers. Low rainfall is one of the main reasons why the river is drying up. In fact, Iraq, which sits along the river's path, is currently facing its worst rate ever, making the situation even worse. On top of all of that, climate change is also playing a role. Rising temperatures caused by climate change lead to reduced water flow. Over the past century, northeastern Syria, where the Euphrates River flows, has experienced hotter temperatures and less rainfall. This not only reduces the amount of water in the river, but also speeds up evaporation, leaving even less water available. The drying Euphrates River is causing a ripple effect on both the natural environment and the people who depend on it. With water becoming scarce, crops are failing, leading to agricultural distress. As a result, around 800 families have been forced to leave their homes in the surrounding villages. And it's not just humans who are affected. The river's ecosystem is suffering too. Many plants and animals that rely on the river for their survival are now left with nothing. Wetlands and marshes, which provide essential habitats for a variety of wildlife, are also at risk due to the dwindling water levels. While nature is playing a part in the drying of the Euphrates River, human activities have made things worse. Poor water management and human interventions have multiplied the problem. For years, various factors like dam construction, water diversions, and inefficient irrigation practices have disrupted the natural flow of the river. These activities not only decrease water availability downstream, but also disrupt the delicate balance that the river's ecosystem relies on. When you combine these human actions with the effects of climate change, it's no wonder the situation has escalated the way it has. The Iraqi Minister of Water Resources is sounding the alarm, warning that the Euphrates River could dry up completely by 2040. But as this river gets drier and drier, we're also seeing ancient artifacts from the past emerge from its riverbed. And one of them is something that was thought to be lost: the tomb of the legendary hero Gilgamesh. Videos claiming to document the discovery of Gilgamesh's tomb have surfaced all over the internet. People from all corners of the globe are captivated by the possibility of unraveling the mysteries surrounding this mythical figure. The discovery was made in present-day Iraq and holds tremendous significance due to its alignment with the descriptions found in the Epic of Gilgamesh. This ancient epic, one of the earliest known works of literature, recounts the heroic and mythic adventures of Gilgamesh, a legendary king of Iraq. It offers glimpses into the ancient Mesopotamian civilization, their beliefs, and their understanding of the world. The discovery of Gilgamesh's tomb, if confirmed, holds immense potential for enhancing our understanding of ancient civilizations. It opens a gateway to a bygone era, shedding light on the customs, rituals, and beliefs of the people who lived during that time. The significance of this discovery can't be overstated. If it's actually authenticated, the tomb of Gilgamesh would provide a tangible link to an extraordinary figure from ancient history. Gilgamesh, the legendary hero of Mesopotamian mythology, stands as a monumental figure whose epic tale has captivated audiences for thousands of years. As a demigod, Gilgamesh is described as part god and part human, someone who had extraordinary strength, courage, and intelligence. His story begins in the city of Uruk, one of the great urban centers of ancient Mesopotamia. Gilgamesh, as the king of Uruk, had unrivaled power and privileges as a king does. But it's important to use your power wisely, or you might lose it. That's exactly what happened to him. His insatiable nature and tyrannical rule led the gods to create a counterpart for him, Enkidu, a wild man who lives harmoniously with nature. The meeting between Gilgamesh and Enkidu sparks a friendship that becomes the heart of the epic. Together, the two go on adventures throughout the kingdom and beyond. One of the most significant adventures undertaken by Gilgamesh and Enkidu is their encounter with Humbaba, the monstrous garden of the cedar forest. The cedar forest, a sacred and enchanted place, was guarded by Humbaba. His purpose was to protect the forest from any intruders and maintain its sanctity. The forest itself acted as a symbol of divine power and represents the connection between the earthly realm and the realm of the gods. Undeterred by the danger that lay ahead, Gilgamesh and Enkidu set out to confront Humbaba. Their determination and fearlessness for the mission were just a glimpse of how powerful and brave they were. Humbaba, aware of their presence, unleashed his wrath upon them, hurling threats and displaying his formidable strength. However, Gilgamesh and Enkidu remained undeterred by the monster's intimidation. In a climatic battle, Gilgamesh and Enkidu fought Humbaba. Their combined strength, skill, and courage enabled them to overcome the monstrous guardian. With each strike, they chipped away at Humbaba's power, displaying their unwavering determination to protect their interests and assert their dominance, eventually defeating him. The slaying of Humbaba not only demonstrated the physical capabilities of Gilgamesh and Enkidu, but also served as a symbolic unifying of both their forces. Even though they were built to be opposites of one another, they were able to come together as one and defeat their enemy. The defeat of Humbaba and the conquest of the cedar forest elevated Gilgamesh and Enkidu to the status of legendary heroes. Their victory didn't just boost their reputation, but also paved the way for future encounters with mythical creatures and challenges. It's important to note, though, that their victory over Humbaba has also profound consequences. The act of slaying the guardian of the cedar forest disrupted the natural order, and with that brought upon them the wrath of the gods. At this point, the epic took a dramatic turn with the death of Enkidu. Stricken by grief and haunted by the inevitability of mortality, Gilgamesh was propelled into a quest for eternal life. The quest took him to the ends of the earth, where he confronted various trials and met extraordinary beings, including the scorpion people and the tavern keeper, Siduri. Siduri saw the pain and inner turmoil that Gilgamesh carried with him. But even then, Siduri tried to make him understand the futility of his pursuit of eternal life, reminding him that only the gods possessed such a gift. And Gilgamesh wasn't fully a god. She encouraged him to embrace the beauty and joys of mortal life, urging him to find contentment in the limited time he had on earth. But he didn't listen. After a long and hard journey, Gilgamesh found the home of Utnapishtim, the only person who survived a terrible flood. Utnapishtim was given the gift of living forever by the gods, and Gilgamesh wanted to know how he could do the same. When Gilgamesh met Utnapishtim, he was excited to learn the secret. But instead of giving him the answer, Utnapishtim gave Gilgamesh a challenge. He had to stay awake for 6 days and 7 nights without sleeping, even for a minute. Gilgamesh tried really hard to stay awake, but he was a human after all and couldn't do it. Even though Gilgamesh failed the ultimate challenge, Utnapishtim felt sorry for him. So he gave Gilgamesh a special plant that could make him young again. Gilgamesh was happy and thought about going back to his city, Uruk, harvesting the plant a little at a time to be young forever. But something unexpected happened. While Gilgamesh was taking a bath on his way home, a sneaky snake took the plant from him. Gilgamesh was distraught because he knew he had lost the one thing he had searched for years, and now couldn't live forever anymore. But in all of that, he learned that everyone has to face death because it's part of being human. The Epic of Gilgamesh is very important because it is one of the oldest stories that we still have access to today. It was written a long time ago, even before the stories of Homer, in a language called Akkadian, which was spoken in Mesopotamia. We have found many different versions of the story, showing that it was very popular and meant a lot to the people who lived back then. The best version of the story that we have is written on 12 clay tablets. These tablets were found in the library of King Ashurbanipal in the ancient city of Nineveh. But one of the most popular proofs of this story's ancient existence is because of the Gilgamesh Dream Tablet. This is a remarkable 3,600-year-old artifact that was looted during the Gulf War. The tablet embarked on a dramatic journey through different countries, evading detection with forged documents. Eventually resurfacing in the United States, it was officially handed back to Iraq at a ceremony in Washington, D.C. This ancient clay tablet contains a portion of the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest works of literature known to mankind. The tablet's recovery adds intrigue to its story. From being unnoticed and covered in dust, it went through various auctions before ending up in the Museum of the Bible, sparking controversy. Legal battles ensued, and in 2019, the tablet was seized and ordered to be returned to Iraq, along with thousands of other looted antiquities. But that was just a glimpse compared to the tomb of Gilgamesh himself. It is still unclear how Gilgamesh eventually passed away, but the most common narrative is that he lived a long life and eventually died of old age. At the time, he had returned to his kingdom in Mesopotamia and was buried under the Euphrates riverbed. How? Well, it is said that the river parted when his funeral was taking place, as if the river wanted to claim Gilgamesh's body. Now that the river is no longer flowing in all its glory, it's as if it's just another piece of land that can be dug up. The connection between the historical account and the location of the tomb adds a remarkable layer of authenticity to the archaeological findings. Eager to explore further, archaeologists are setting out to investigate what appears to be a distinct anomaly beneath the ground. The hope is that the examination of this mysterious anomaly will shed light on the rich history and mythology surrounding the legendary king. If the tomb that has been discovered is indeed the final resting place of Gilgamesh, it would have profound implications for our understanding of ancient history and the epic of Gilgamesh itself. Firstly, confirming the tomb as Gilgamesh's final resting place would authenticate the historical existence of Gilgamesh as more than just a legendary figure. It would provide concrete evidence that Gilgamesh was a real historical figure, potentially a king or ruler of an ancient Mesopotamian city. The discovery of Gilgamesh's tomb would rewrite the history books, as it would push the origins of the epic of Gilgamesh back to a specific time and place. The epic would gain even greater significance and become an even more invaluable cultural artifact. The tomb itself would offer a wealth of information about the life, customs, and beliefs of the time in which Gilgamesh lived. Archaeologists would have to meticulously study the tomb's contents, including any artifacts, inscriptions, or funerary rituals associated with Gilgamesh. This would provide invaluable insights into the culture, religion, and burial places of ancient Mesopotamia. On top of all that, the discovery of Gilgamesh's tomb would shed light on the historical context and potential political and social structures of the time. It could provide evidence of the power and influence wielded by Gilgamesh, as well as the level of civilization and development of the city in which he ruled. However, it is important to approach such discoveries with caution and thorough investigation. The authenticity of the tomb would need to be carefully verified through archaeological methods, including carbon dating, artifact analysis, and historical contextualization. With all of that underway, we're very close to finding out if the tomb is actually of Gilgamesh, and studying it will bring us one step closer to discovering how he actually died. And, as is with most historical findings, we might just stumble on truths that we didn't even think were there in the first place. So, what do you think? Could the tomb really be Gilgamesh's?